ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Verse 11. द्वन्द्वानि सर्वाण्यखिलास्त्रिपुर्त्यः किञ्चित् समाश्रित्य विभान्ति वस्तु तन्मार्गणे स्याद् गलितं समस्तं न पश्यतां सच्चलनं कदापि विद्या कथं भाति न चेदविद्या विद्यां विना किं प्रविभात्य विद्या द्वयं च कस्येति विचार्य मूल स्वरूपनिष्ठा परमार्थविद्या बोद्धारमात्मानमजानतो यः बोधः स किं स्यात् परमार्थबोधः बोधस्य बोध्यस्य च संशयं स्वं विजानतस्तद्वितीयं विनश्येत् निद्रा न विद्या ग्रहणं न विद्या गृह्णाति किञ्चिन्न यथार्थबोधे निद्रा पदार्थग्रहणेतरा स्यात् चिदेव विद्या विलसन्त्यशून्या सत्यश्चिदात्मा विविधाकृतिश्चित् सिद्ध्येत् पृथक् सत्यचितो न भिन्ना भूषा विकाराः किमु सन्ति सत्यं विना सुवर्णं पृथगत्र लोके. Some very nice verses coming up. And yesterday we just put a few more touches, little more icing on verse number 12, I think, whatever that was. Let me just see. Verse number 11. And na pashyatam sat chalanam kadapi. So, sat chalanam kadapi na pashyatam means the sat does not waver. The person doesn't waver once one is with sat. There is no restlessness, there is no wavering, there is no doubts, there is nothing to decide, there is nothing to choose, there is nothing to avoid, there is nothing to approach. Here one has to be careful. It's not some kind of a static, stoic kind of a life. The person may be active, doing things, but at the same time that those activities are in no way affecting that knowledge, because the identification is with Sat, and Mithya therefore is very well understood. And since Mithya is very well understood, that the person does not swerve from that understanding. This is the idea. We saw that yesterday. Then today, yesterday we also saw the next verse about Vidya and Avidya. That whole concept that I am ignorant is as flawed as the wrong understanding I am knowledgeable. Both are wrong. Oh, but not with regard to Atma Vidya, right? Even with regard to Atma Vidya. So, if somebody says, I know Brahman, the Kenopanishad says, when somebody says, I know Brahman, run away from them. Run away from them as far as your legs will carry you. Why? Because as the teacher in the Kenopanishad put it, that knowledge, such a person's knowledge is as good as dust. Easter bunny we know, but this is like a dust bunny, yeah. So this is just a piece of dust. Why? Because it's very clear that the person doesn't understand Brahman. I know Brahman is still a duality. Me, knower, Brahman, known. And this kind of a thinking we have to get out of the head, because this is what causes a great deal of confusion. So, even this word Brahmavit has to be understood properly. Brahmavit means knower of Brahman. That also has to be properly understood. Knower of Brahman is, the knower who is Brahman. This is how we have to help ourselves to understand this. Otherwise, there will be a lot of problems. Knower of Brahman, again, there is that separation. And even linguistically, we may say, oh, I know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. No, it still doesn't, is not an excuse for us to be intellectually lax. This is what my teacher used to call pajama thinking, all loose and not crisp and not, exact. Where one needs to be exact, one has to be exact. And if one is not exact, then all kinds of wrong notions and identifications will creep in. And therefore, this has to be properly understood. So, this debate between Vidya and Avidya is happening in a ring where the Vidya is biffing Avidya and Avidya is biffing it back, and they are having it out in a wrestling match. And then what? So those two concepts are fighting it out for prevalence. And then what happens? Who is the audience? The audience is composed of two kinds of people. One set of people are thinking that avidya is centered on Brahman, and the other set of people are thinking that avidya is centered on the jiva. That is how, just like when the two teams are playing, where in some stadium, and then the fans, so half the fans are rooting for one team, and the other half of the fans are rooting for team B. And so this is exactly how it is. And so where am I, the one who is looking at this verse? If you think of that, you are flying somewhere above and looking down at this useless dyad, vidya avidya, looking also at the people who have, what's the word for it, divided themselves according to these philosophies. And then where is your stand? What do you believe? There is no such thing called vidya, because it is relational to avidya. And there is no such thing called avidya because it is mithya. Because you say, if you want, how are you going to say I have ignorance? How are you going to say that? With a straight face. And which means what? I know I am ignorant. I know that I don't know. And look at how you sound. You know that you don't know. So that means you're not ignorant. There is no such ignorance. And then what is it that you know? I know that I don't know. And then even it's the same thing if you say, I know that I know. I know that I don't know. Both are equally strange things to articulate. And so here, this whole connection is all on the empirical level. The relationship between vidya and avidya, and the relationship between what is that, the people who say vidya is centered, vidya is located quote unquote here, and vidya is as avidya is as though located here. All these things, this is just for play. And you understand that it is play if you know the truth. Otherwise the play can get very nasty if you do not know the whole truth. Mithya becomes sat. And so there is no such thing called avidya, no such thing at all. What avidya, where is it? Nobody can point out. And then since it's relational, both of them belong to the same order of reality. But then what about Brahma Vidya? As though. What about Guru? As though. What about Shishya? As though. What about Upanishad? As though. Everything is as though, as though, as though, as though, as though. And as though duality belonging to the empirical level, and as though removing that duality. So the duality is a thorn, and removal of that thorn is also with another thorn belonging to that same category, which is Atma Vidya. Otherwise, from the standpoint of Brahman, who you are, there is no avidya. There is no such thing called vidya, also for that matter. It is something that simply is. Simply it is. There is nothing there other than it, and that it happens to be you, and it is all knowledge, we say, from the standpoint of our own ignorance. In order to distinguish that, we say it is all knowledge, but really, from its own standpoint, it is just a sentient thing. That's all it is. It's a sentient thing. And so, this is why the question, who does this avidya belong to? Very, very important. Who is the owner of this avidya? And if you raise your hand and say, me, avidya belongs to me, it's all mine, ignorance is all mine. If you say that, what happens if you say that? Ignorance is all mine. That means you are owning up something that really doesn't belong to you. And if you are ignorant, you should be ignorant at all times. And you should be ignorant forever because this is your nature, correct? You should be ignorant forever. Then what's the point in pursuing this knowledge? In the hope of shedding this ignorance? Then, so therefore what? Therefore, this is not something which is this is not something which we can uh, afford to gloss over. So tasya moolam, so vicharya, having inquired into the moola. Moola means the root of the whole thing. What is the root here? The root means the source. Source is you, because you are the source. You may think of yourself as a resourceful person, but you are actually the source. Yeah, and you know this because the idea is to identify fully with that which is the source as I, not the knowledgeable one as I, not the ignorant one as I, because after all, ignorance and knowledge shine in which chit? That is you, which is free of ignorance, free of being knowledgeable about anything in particular. It simply is. And that is you. This is what is called Paramartha Vidya. This is what you are pursuing, not memorizing certain verses from the Upanishad, not trying to have a bookish knowledge. I need to remember this, I need to understand which verse comes where, and then otherwise I won't get it and what was said. I mean, to a certain extent, one hopes that one will have some recall and some connection to what has been taught yesterday, and one is not a clean slate all the time. So, yes, that is, of course, the hope of that is there. But at the same time, one is understanding that one is the source. One is the source. So, if that is the case, then this is what is called Paramartha Vidya. So, Paramartha means the Moksha Vidya. Paramartha. Artha is that which one wants, the goal in life, Purushartha, like that. So, this is Parama Purushartha Vidya, a Vidya because of which one catches hold of the final Purushartha, freedom from wanting, freedom from longing, freedom from everything, freedom from incompleteness, freedom from crying, whining all the time. This is what is talked about. And so therefore, the this is this Swarupa Nishtha, understanding myself of free as free of all dyads, triads, etc. That is what you are pursuing. So Paramartha Vidya is not something you can buy in the market, and it is not something that is located in the books of the Upanishads or any holy books. Because the books, as we are studying in the Mundakopanishad, is what? Shabda Rashi, a heap of words. So those words are not really Brahma Vidya. And shocking as that might sound, then what is Brahma Vidya? The words that transform you. The words of the Upanishad, handled by the Guru, that manage to enter a heart that is full of ragadveshas and full of resistance, full of fear, full of difficulties, and still manage to transform you into you understanding this. That is what is the Paramartha Vidya. Abidance in that which is transformative. It has transformed the heart, because even in understanding, okay, I don't have to have a pressure that I have to know something, and that is Brahma Vidya. I don't have to catch something. I don't have to catch and kill mentality. I don't have to conquer something. This is not a conquest. This is not a competition. This is not a race. This is not some goal. Because the goal is you. The seeker is you. The sought is you. If you don't know this, you go goal, goal. Goal, goal in Hindi means round and round you go without any goal. This is what happens. You don't, this is what has to be understood. If the seeker and sought are one, then what is the question of Vidya, Avidya? Oh, but we were told that we have to banish avidya. Yeah, that is Vedanta 101. Ramana Maharshi is on a different plane. Okay, this is Vedanta postgraduate. What is that? With a PhD level Vedanta here. And what does one have to do? Quickly catch up with all the credits, and then get to this level of assimilation. Get to this level of assimilation. Catch up quickly. So yeah, I mean, on the level, I mean, we have to take the teacher has to take the student where they come. And then in the beginning you can say, yes, Atma Ajnanam is the problem, and in order to get rid of that problem, what do we need to do? We need to go to the teacher, we need to get rid of the ignorance, we need to sit at the feet of the teacher and study, etc., etc., etc. Then, after you've been studying for some time, if we keep saying the same thing, then what is the point? Somewhere you have to grow to a more of a, finer understanding, a finer place of being. More, the understanding must become more refined. And in this refinement, what happens is that there is growth. In understanding this Vidya, there is more growth, there is more being, there is more, there is more, there is more shaking up of the old identifications, systems of belief, etc., etc. All of them are nicely shaken up, leaving in their wake that understanding. This is also gone. What has gone? The desire to catch this, kill that, want this, all that has gone now. The mind is calm. And in such a mind has been told, pursue the knowledge. And in the course of pursuing the knowledge, one understands that if everything is as though, the pursuit of knowledge is also as though. And then in that there is a lot of, there is a lot of relief. One has helped oneself to a lot of relief, because there is nowhere to go, there is nothing to do, there is nothing to catch, there is nothing to conquer, there is nothing to run towards, there is nothing to run away. All that is there to do is just being, being, being. Knowing is being. A being is knowing, because we are talking of a knowing being without an end. And that knowing being is you. This is exactly what it says. And then, so what is this Vidya? I still don't understand. I mean, I know you talked a lot about it, but it's kind of eluding me. Of course, it's eluding you. And if it's eluding you, you are in a good place. You are in a fantastic place if it is eluding you. Let it elude, because the moment you say, aha, I got it, then what you probably got was a big dollop of confusion. If it is somewhat elusive, like I understand, but how to catch it? It's not a butterfly that you go like little children go behind and try to catch, in the garden. It's not a butterfly that you can catch. It is you. It is not something you catch. It is something that catches the ahankara, it catches you. You have to let yourself be caught by the pramana. Then only the transformation will take place. Here, you, not Satchidananda, you. That doesn't need pramana, that doesn't need instruction. You're talking of the ahankara, you. That ahankara, who is trying to catch this knowledge, has to just change the tone and allow itself to be caught. Allow itself to be caught. Like when an adult plays, catch with a child. So first they try to catch the child. The child is screaming and laughing and giggling and running away. And then the adult pretends, I can't catch you. You're too much for me. You're so fast. Because they want the child to feel good and feel like it has won. And then the adult will sit and pretend to pant and say, oh, you are too fast for me. Yes, you won. And then what will the child say? Okay, you run, I'll catch. And then the adult will pretend to get caught. Even though the adult can easily outrun the child, the adult will pretend caught. And just to be able to tell the child, oh, you got me. And here, by the pramana, no pretense here. By the pramana, you get caught. Happily, you allow yourself to get caught, just like when you're playing with a child. You allow yourself to get caught. You allow yourself to fall down. You allow yourself to look stupid. You allow yourself to be vulnerable. Here also the same thing. The Shruti, Mother Shruti requires you to do. Mother Shruti wants you to get caught in her loving embrace. In her loving embrace, she wants you to get caught. And that, in that getting caught, there is so much relief, because otherwise one is just out on a limb, trying to get this, trying to lose that, trying to pursue this, pursue that, no direction, nothing at all. It's just, all there is loneliness, there is disconnection from Ishvara, the source, there is fear, there is sorrow. This is much better, because the Mother Shruti, she is the pramana, she is the means of knowledge that gives you that vision, that feeds you the diet of oneness, like how the baby bird is fed. The mother and the father birds, they chew it all up. I mean, they don't chew, but with the beak they make it all small pieces. In fact, sometimes they swallow it and regurgitate it and put it in the open beak of the baby. This is what they do. And this is exactly what the Upanishad is. The Upanishad has been chewed up by the grace of the parampara. There is nothing that has not been analyzed. There is no sentence that has not been thought of, and interpreted, understood, and other possibilities negated. That's not even a single sentence. Everything has been mapped out, that this is where this is, and this is how it is, and this is how the argument proceeds, and this is exactly like that Upanishad over there with these differences. Everything has been mapped out. We have got chewed up food, easy to assimilate. And all we have to do, we have to say, that's all. We have to open the mouth. How hard is that? How hard is it to be fed? Not very hard. All you have to do is open the mouth. But if one is suspicious, what is it made of? One person asks. And then the other person says, is it organic? Because I am eating only organic these days. Nothing more organic than Upanishad, okay? Yeah. So, is it organic? Is it, what is this? This is the new fad. Is it keto? Because I'm on a diet, keto diet. And is it this? Is it that? This keto diet, I don't understand, but let me not get off on that tangent. Okay, we'll reserve that for some other time. Otherwise, we'll miss this discussion here. And and then again we will have to come back. So is it keto? Otherwise, I don't eat this. And then I don't eat. What is that? I don't eat nightshade vegetables. So, in what you're trying to feed me, does it have nightshade vegetables? Because, I don't eat those. Nightshade vegetables means, everything that you like and are things you must not eat. Bell peppers and what is that called? That eggplant. I don't know why they call it eggplant. It's neither an egg nor is it a plant, nor does it look like a plant. But there must be some reason. Maybe it's shaped like an egg, that's why. And so eggplant and some other things, even potato perhaps, I don't know. So they all belong to this family called nightshade. And then it has for certain people, it causes reactions. And then, is it nightshade? I don't do that. And no, it doesn't have nightshade. Okay, now is it cruciferous vegetables? Because, like, all these, like cabbage, broccoli, that jati. And is it that vegetable? No. I can't eat that. Uh, More importantly, does it have sugar? I'm not doing sugar these days. Does it have sugar? You know, and I can't do sugar. And then what else? What else people don't eat? Like this. So many things. Does it have this? Does it have that? And then some say, oh, very important. Does it have gluten? I'm not having gluten. So, while it is important, that the dietary considerations are important, but if you take it to a complete extreme, when you're being offered prasada comes in small quantities. You either eat it or you just sort of, touch your eyes with it and give it to somebody if you absolutely cannot eat it. But this is not the time to have discussion about whether the prasada fits the keto diet, whether it is organic, whether it is full of greens, whether it is all these things. This is not the time to have that. It is a prasada. The Upanishad is a prasada. It's nicely chewed up by the whole parampara of a whole lot of stalwart, exalted, scholarly gurus. Think about all the people. I mean, they are giants. They are giants. Each Shankaracharya coming after Adi Shankara, each of them, huge written books, and they know the Veda back and forth. At least those of us who have studied, we just know the few of the Upanishads, etc. We only study the latter portion of the Veda. They have studied the first portion of the Veda also. Their knowledge is so deep and so much, whatever, all this is all very well thought out. This is a no-brainer. Just have to open the mouth. And when you're ready to open the eyes, to open the mouth, to allow the knowledge to come, and that mouth opening exercise is called Shraddha, the cultivation of Shraddha. Trust. You trust that the whatever is being fed is free of impurities, free of poison, free of any kind of difficulties, and that it is really good for me. Oh, will it agree with me? Definitely it will agree with you. And in fact, it will make you more agreeable in general. And so that is why this is very much recommended. And so this is not something to catch. The vidya is not something to catch, it is something to be caught. And explaining this is the next verse, very, very beautiful verse, because again there is some difficulty around this. What is this vidya? And what is this vidya? Is it like sleep then? Or is it like something you catch when you're awake? And what is this? And then, so here it says, what does it say? Uh, oh, I think I skipped one verse, but doesn't matter. We'll go back to verse number 13. So here it talks about what is this vidya, and why you should not call yourself the knower of Brahman. Bodharam yaha atmanam ajanatah स्यात् सह बोधः किं परमार्थबोधः. This is the anvaya. This is how to make this into prosaic sentence. Atmanam ajanatah yah bodharam. So bodharam means the knower. Bodha, knower. The knower. And then, what about this knower? Atmanam ajanatah. So, what kind of a bodha is this? The one who does not know oneself. Atmanam, ajanatah. Atmanam ajanatah. So, uh, this person, the one who understands the universe, or so he or she says. So they say. They say we understand the universe. We have multiple PhDs. We have won gold medals. We have written a lot of books. And here we are. We are very, very famous. Google us and you will find out how famous we are. This is the person saying, I am a Bodha. So the question here is asked by Ramana Maharshi. Is it possible to call yourself a knower when you are just the knower of Vishaya? What is Vishaya? Objects, but not the Vishayin, the subject. Can you call yourself a knower? Absolutely not. You cannot call yourself the knower because you just obviously you don't know everything. You cannot call yourself the knower precisely because you don't know anything. You don't know that which knows everything. You don't know that. And this is exactly reminiscent of the 7th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad. And in the 7th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad, this very contention was made by Narada. I know this, I know that, I have studied this, I have studied that. And Sanat Kumara laughs, the teacher laughs. Why does the teacher laugh? The teacher says, you know everything. And you know a lot of, everything that you know happens to be nothing. And you will know a lot of nothing. How much is a lot of nothing? Nothing. How much is a little bit of nothing? Nothing. That's the idea. So it doesn't matter. So you know a lot of nothing. You don't know that one thing because of which you know all these things. And if you don't know that by which you know all these things, what is the use of all these things? It's like you say that, I know music. I know music very well. So what do you know? I know everything in the music except the notes. The 7 notes don't ask any questions about. But then the rest of it I know. If you don't know the 7 notes, how do you know music? How do you know music? You can't say, I don't know Saregama, but other than Saregama, you ask anything else, and I'll answer all the questions. So this is exactly like saying, I know, but then I don't know that by which I have to, that by which this knowledge takes place, that which is all knowledge. That's what I don't know. I don't know myself, but I yet claim to know everything else. Not only do I claim to know everything else, I also say the following: I need not know myself. Why should I know myself? And then people will have this thing, my great grandfather died away after what? Without knowing the Atma. Great grandfather and grandmother died away without knowing the Atma. Great grandparents died away without knowing the Atma. Grandparents passed away without knowing the Atma. Why should parents, are also not knowing the Atma? Why should I know the Atma? They all seem to have done fine. They all seem to have done fine. Why should I know the Atma? Well, if you are free of pain and sorrow, you don't need to know the Atma. You are fine as you are. Continue, please continue. And you can bless them also. Ayushman Bhava. Be live long, live happily, no problem. No, but if you come with a complaint, like, why is there sorrow in the universe? Why am I angry? Why am I sad? Why do I have these problems? If you come to me, then I will say you need to know yourself. And if you know yourself, then only these problems will go. No, but there must be other methods. I don't know why this whole thing about other methods. But this is so easy. To just open the computer and sit in front of it, nothing easier than that. In fact, I'm doing all the work. All you have to do is listen. Okay? So easy. But still, people want some other method. I don't understand why. It's coming right, and it's coming right to you. Everything is already thought out. You don't have to do anything. You just have to listen and absorb. You just have to be a sponge. That's all it is. But instead, what happens? There is just this feeling like there might be some other way. Maybe I can intuit this knowledge. Maybe I can bhajan this knowledge. I sit and say Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then the knowledge comes. Because Rama is happy with me. Rama is happy with you. Rama doesn't need you to do bhajans in order for Rama to be happy with you. And how do you know Rama is happy with me? Because Rama is happy no matter what. That's how I know Rama is happy with you also. No problem. And so, therefore, the feeling that I'm missing out on something, the feeling that there must be something else other than this method, because this method is just so too easy or too pat. Too pat means like, okay, the problem is Atma Ajnanam and the solution is Atma Jnanam. What's the fun in that? I want a little more drama. No, you don't. You only want Rama. You don't need drama. Okay, that drama is enough there in life. And so, therefore, this, the orientation has to change, just like it changed for Narada. Narada finally said, okay, what is it that I'm missing? And then this is what he was told, that you know all the things that are finite, but you don't know that infinite you upon which all these things as though rest, from which all these things have come, as it were, and from into unto which all these things will resolve as it were, and that is you. That bhuma you don't know. This is what is called bhuma vidya. Very beautiful. And so therefore, here, if you strut around with showing off your knowledge, Ramana Maharshi says, Atmanam. And who is this Atmanam? The Atma is the Bodha, the knower. Ajanataha, the one without knowing the knower. Bodha sakim syat paramartha bodha. Is it possible to say you have the ultimate knowledge? You have that knowledge of freeing oneself from samsara. You have that knowledge of complete and total contentment. You have the knowledge that you are limitless. Can you say that? Of course, this is a what is called aksheparthe kim. So the kim here is a what is that called in English? Rhetorical question. Rhetorical question. Why? Because the ahankara as the knower is still present, very much present, very much up front and center, and strutting around in its knowledge and saying, I am the knower of everything except, of course, myself. And so, what is being missed here in this knowledge is given very beautifully in the third line. Bodhasya, bodhyasya. And if you don't look, if you look at it quickly, it looks like the same word is repeated. But the first one is bodhasya, so of the knowledge, and then bodhyasya, of that which is an object of knowledge. So the means of knowledge and the object of knowledge. Chasam shrayam swam, understanding oneself as the basis, as the refuge of the means of knowledge, understanding one who was just now strutting around as the knower, understanding oneself, recalculating. This is what the GPS says. If it has made a wrong, if you make a wrong turn, it will say, please wait, recalculating. And then it will say, okay, go for 2-3 minutes or so many 100 yards. And then what do? You take a left turn there, recalculating. And so here also, you recalculate your identity. Eureka, you made a mistake here by saying I know everything and I am this, and then now you recalculate your identity and say I am that. Who are you? I am the knower, for who is non-separate from the known and from the means of knowledge, because of which something becomes known. I am not separate from that at all. I am that which has transcended the triad of knower, known, and means of knowledge. There are no three things anymore. All that is there is me. I am present as that consciousness which has, as it were, for the time being, morphed into knower. I am present in that as that consciousness which is non separate from the object to be known. I am present as the means of knowledge that has streamed from the eyes or the ears, depending upon how or what needs to be cognized. And I am that because of which I have, that means of knowledge is not separate from me. I am that. So when you say that, it says, Vijanataha, for the knower, Dvitiyam Vinashyet. Duality gets destroyed. Vinashyet gets destroyed. How does duality gets destroyed? Meaning, all the objects of knowledge, do they disappear as soon as you are enlightened? Obviously not. The objects of knowledge are there, and the pratiti means what? The appearance that they are separate from you is also there. However, what? You are not affected by them because you know they are just an extension of me, they are not other than me. And in fact, we can just help ourselves to this. This is what is called drishya viddha, drishyanu viddha, savikalpa samadhi. And it is a kind of an absorption, an open eye meditation. And it works better if you're not sitting in your room, but you go outside and sit in a park bench or something like that and just gaze at things, nothing in particular, but wherever the gaze flies, just see the truth of this. See that as non separate from you. See that whatever it is, you look at a tree, and that tree is what? Chaitanya Atma, that is consciousness plus a name and form. Who are you? Consciousness plus a name and form. So then, you can help yourself. This is a form of contemplation. And so that is consciousness along with name and form. You are consciousness along with the name and form. And then you are that tree. The tree is you. The air you breathe is you. The sun that shines is you. The water that flows is you. The ducks, the family of ducks swimming in the water is you. Nothing is separate from you. So this is one part of the meditation. And then at the same time, in between, you can say, what is it that's making me see? It is that consciousness alone. It's that in the form of that awareness which is blessing the sight. You can even go so far as to spend the whole day visualizing a tiny devata, Bhagavan, behind the right eye. Whoever is seeing is that Bhagavan is the seer. I am not the seer, that Bhagavan is the seer. And what is the seen? Non separate from that consciousness, that Bhagavan. And who is the seer? Bhagavan. Seen, Bhagavan. And then the mode of seeing, eyes, etc., the sense organs, also Bhagavan. And this is the kind of a contemplation. Whatever, yatra yatra mano. See, this is a two-part contemplation. The first part is, it goes like this. Yatra yatra mano yati, tatra tatra tava pada pankajam. Wherever the mind flows, wherever the mind goes, O Lord, there I find your feet. So, wherever the mind goes, it is Bhagavan and I surrender to you. That is the first level of understanding. And then after that, after perfecting this, one graduates to another level of understanding. Yatra yatra mano yati, tatra tatra samadhayah. All this is in the Drigdrishya Viveka. Yatra yatra mano yati, wherever the mind goes, instantly there is samadhi absorption. And what kind of absorption is it? It's an absorption where the seer seen resolve, cognitively resolve, because there is no difference between them. Seer is consciousness, seen is consciousness, seer seen is as though, and all that is there is consciousness. This understanding and the abidance in this understanding is called nishtha, jnana nishtha. And so that is what it is. Bodhasya, bodhyasya cha samshrayam swam vijanatah. For the one who is vijanatah, knowing. For the one who is knowing what? Bodhasya, bodhyasya. The adhishthana, which a word which doesn't really have a translation. Adhishthana, variously translated as substratum, etc., etc. It's very complicated to translate it like that. Adhishthana means the truth of everything, the basis of everything, that which upholds everything is adhishthana. So then I am this adhishthana of the seer, of the seen, and the means of seeing. And that's when the duality, triality, triad, whatever it is, just disappears. Very lovely verse. And the next verse is also dealing with the same topic of what is this knowledge. And then, so this one talked about what exactly is this knowledge. How do I know I have this? And then the next one is going to talk about what this knowledge is not. That is also important. निद्रा न विद्या ग्रहणं न विद्या गृह्णाति किञ्चिन्न यथार्थबोधे निद्रा पदार्थग्रहणेतरा स्यात् चिदेव विद्या विलसन्त्यशून्या. What all is not knowledge? Write it down. Nidra na vidya. Sleep is not vidya. Because it's very easy to see that in a state where everything resolves, that's the only thing that I know is sleep. That's why the best kind of sleep comes in Vedanta classes. because that's where everything resolves. And you're listening to the fact that everything is resolving, and you have a practical demo. Bhagavan gives you a practical demo by making you kind of nod off. And so here, and then and the description of sleep is suspiciously similar to Atma Jnanam, where there is nothing other than you, and then there is no other, no another, no division, no vidya, no avidya, all these things. And so, therefore, Ramana Maharshi wants to sprinkle some water on the faces of the students and say, "Wake up! Let's see what is not vidya. Nidra na vidya. Sleep is not vidya. Oh, waking is Vidya then. Waking where I catch the Vidya. See, I told you, I knew this right from the start. I have to be awake in order to catch the Vidya. Catching here is called Grahanam. I got it, that feeling. Not literally catch, but the feeling that I have it. So, what is that? So, Grahanam na Vidya. Grahanam na Vidya. Nidra na Vidya. So, sleep, the experience of sleep is not Vidya, and catching hold of something is also not Vidya, and saying I am the catcher, the Vidya is the caught. I told you it's the other way around. You be caught. That's what we want. And so then, Grahanam na Vidya. Why? Why is not Grahanam Vidya? I really want Grahanam, grasping, to be Vidya. You're grasping at straws. That is the Vidya. Stop grasping at straws. Grahanam is not Vidya because na kinchit grinhati yathartha bodhe. Yathartha bodhe na kinchit grinhati. In yathartha bodha means in the knowledge of that which is exactly you. Yathartha, exactly how it is. In the knowledge of what is, there is nothing to catch. There is no catch, conquer, kill. What is you, what is Bhagavan, what is Jagat. If I say that, what is there to catch? There's nothing to catch. And you're not catching anything in particular. You're not catching hold of anything in particular at all. And then what? Nidra, sleep, cha, padartha grihana, nidra, nidrayaha, padartha grihanat cha, itara syat. Itara means other. It is other than sleep. And then padartha grahana means catching hold of objects, objectifying everything. So it is other than that. Itara syat. Itara means other than that. Chideva vidya. Chit eva vidya. That consciousness is alone called vidya. And what is that consciousness? You. Oh, I am Vidya. Yes, but my name is not Vidya. Doesn't matter. You are still Vidya. You are still Vidya only. That is your middle name now. You are Vidya because you are Chit, you are Chaitanya, you are that awareness, you are consciousness, and so therefore what? Chideva Vidya. And what is this Chit? Here the Chit is used in the feminine sense. The word Chit can be masculine, feminine, or neuter, but here Chit is used in the feminine sense. Vilasanti, with a Vilasanti, I think long E, Vilasanti Purna, Vilasanti long E, which is a present participle. So Vilasanti Chit Ashunya. So Vilasanti means it is qualifying Chit. The shining Chit, the dancing Chit, the rejoicing Chit. And the shining chit which shines not as knowledge, not as ignorance, which is free of trying to catch hold of something, simply shining as itself and illumining everything else also. But that shining dancing chit, that shining dancing consciousness is myself alone, and that is vidya. And then that shining chit, what does it do? It is just, that chit, what does it do? What is it? It is ashunya. Shunya, everybody knows. What is shunya? Zero, non-existent, absent. Ashunya, not shunya. It could have said in another way it is present, but no, here to dismiss the shunyata, to dismiss non-existence. Because you see, this is where we are headed. Nidra na vidya. Sleep is not vidya. Waking is not vidya. And because when you know something, you don't catch hold of anything. And that which we are talking about is other than sleep and other than waking and catching. And then of course, you feel like throwing in the towel and saying, maybe it is non existent because what else is there? It's not in sleep, it's not in waking, it's not in dreaming, it's not in catching, it's not in anything. And then it's everything, it cannot be objectified. It doesn't have a shape. It doesn't have a form. It doesn't have a color. It does not smell like mango or any other flower or fruit or anything like that. It doesn't have a smell. It cannot be touched. It doesn't make a noise, so you cannot hear it. Well, come on, how are you going to say that it exists? Maybe it is non-existent. This is a very tempting decision to come to. Tempting nirnaya. And out of this, of course, we have a whole philosophy. The Buddhist philosophy is all about this. Certain shades of Buddhism are all about this alone. A very tempting conclusion to come to when there is no reason for this conclusion. Maybe there is nothing. Who is saying there is nothing? Me, the great. Okay. So are you existent or not? Yeah, I think I'm existent. So if you say the truth of the universe is non-existent, then are you denying yourself or not? Yes, I am in self-denial. That's what, if you are intellectually honest, such a person will say, yes, this is a form of self-denial. Such a person will agree with the findings of the Taittiriya Upanishad. Asanne vasabhavati asad brahmeti vedachet. Asad brahma iti vedachet. If someone comes to the conclusion, Veda here is someone who knows or concludes that Brahman is non-existent, Asad Brahma. Iti ched Veda, then if supposing somebody comes to that conclusion, this is a hypothetical situation. Then what? Asat eva saha bhavati. Yeah. Asat eva bhavati. That person itself becomes non-existent. So denying this vastu, denying this consciousness is denying yourself. Why? Because you happen to be consciousness. There's no other Atma other than Chit. And that Chit alone is what you call Vidya. Not something, not the experience of the, no Jagat as in sleep. No Jagat, no body, no mind as in sleep. Not the experience of non-duality, that is not Vidya. Not the experience of duality and catching something and running after something, that is not Vidya either. Nor is Vidya some kind of a, in between the two. No. That's why the Mandukya Upanishad says this very beautifully. Na bahish prajna, it's not outwardly focused. Na antaf prajna, it is not just something that is aware of itself. Na ubhayataf prajna, it is not something that is, it is not something in between both of them. Na aprajna, it is not unaware. Na prajna, it is not vidya. This is exactly what is being talked about in the Mandukya. Very, very beautiful. Na aprajna, it is not aprajna. If it's not aprajna, means it is not avidya. Oh, then it must be vidya, because the mind goes in these kinds of opposites. No, it is not prajna either. Oh, then it must be just some kind of a mass of knowledge. Na prajna na ghanaha. It is not like a preponderance of knowledge or consciousness or whatever it is. It's not, you cannot attach it to anything. In fact, you cannot even talk about it. What you give is, that's why Lakshana. It is all just Lakshana, 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 all the way. Indicatory words that point to that which is already you, which is self conscious. That's why you understand. Indicatory words all the way. This is just amazing. This is just so mind boggling. It's just really amazing. So therefore, Chideva Vidya. And what is this chit? This chit is you, glorious, shining in its own glory, basking in its own glory. Going back to the Narada story, Narada asks Sanat Kumara, where does this Bhuman resides? This Bhuma is where? Resides where? Swem Mahimni Pratishtitaha. Sanat Kumara, the teacher, gives the answer. That which is established fully in its own glory. And that's what you are, established in your own glory. All that is there is Chit, plus some names and forms, plus a funny looking body full of all kinds of problems, and a mind that works in a funny way. Let's not even talk about it, because the only thing we can say about the mind is what? Never mind. That's all we can say. And so, a mind that is funny, senses that don't work, this is what it is, but you are okay. Why? Because you are Chit. None of these are you. You are Chit. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.